Some of you probably remember when I reviewed those theme park related video games a long time ago. Yeah, I talked about that Disneyland NES game and that Universal GameCube game and even that weird Six Flags game for the Wii. Yeah, well, for those who don't remember, in that review I said this. It's very similar to another Wii game that was set in a theme park, Wonderworld Amusement Park. And guess what? I now have a copy of that game, so I get to review it. Yay me. For those wondering just what exactly this is, Wonderworld Amusement Park was designed for the Wii and the DS. The company behind this was Majesco, a game company located in New Jersey. They've worked with the likes of Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft for various well-known game titles, such as Cooking Mama, Blood Rain, Bomberman, A Boy and His Blob, and a couple of game tie-ins for various franchises, including Cartoon Network titles. And also a Sharknado game for some reason. I guess it's not the weirdest thing to come out of the Sharknado series, considering there's a comic crossover with Archie. But with that said, they've also had a hand in some memorably bad Wii games, most of which are none too different from this one. A lot of them being a bunch of minigame collections, just with various different themes, such as Wild Earth African Safari. But I guess it could be worse. At least they're not the company that put out horrid games like Action Girls Racing. Girls spelled with a Z, of course.
Because poor literacy is cool.
With a company that has a couple of good names under its belt, maybe this will be an actually decent minigame collection. Or maybe it can go the route of typical shovelware crap for the Wii. This is Wonderworld Amusement Park. Alright. So considering this is a mini-game collection, this is probably going to be a shorter review than usual, since there's not really a whole lot of story or anything to go over. All you need to know is that the game begins with you in a park, you're given a character select menu with characters you can customize, no different from that Six Flags game so far. After that, you then explore a variety of different mini-games in the form of carnival games. Doing these, you can collect coins, which I'm assuming collecting enough would give you access to rides throughout the game, as well as give you access to buy prizes. You can also unlock other worlds by beating all of the games in the area that you're currently in. There is a total of 5 worlds, and the box proudly advertises 35 games in total, each world having their own specific theme. Alright, well let's see how far we get. We probably won't advance past this first world, but let's just see what kind of minigames they have in this first area. So our first area gives us a frog catching game, a bottle shooter, a game where you knock coconuts off of platforms, and easily the worst minigame in this entire stage called Ready Steady. Believe me, it's awful. Also, I think there's something wrong with the guy outside of all the game booths. I've heard crazy stories from people who've worked carnival jobs before, but after seeing the way this guy flails around a lot, I'm willing to believe them now. I know I've probably harped on Wii motion controls with some of the other Wii games I've reviewed before, but let me just say, games like this definitely showcase how terrible Wii motion controls truly are. The frog game basically serves as a whack-a-mole type game where you have to try and catch frogs with worms on a fishing line. The control mainly consists of throwing your arm forward, exactly like what you'd expect from Wii motion controls. It's relatively functional. The bottle shooter is quite possibly the easiest game here. All you have to do is repeatedly hit A, and 9 out of 10 times you're gonna hit something. Even when things get far enough away, you'll still be able to hit a target, as long as you can button mash A and keep the Wiimote pointed at the screen. Coconut Throttle is also pretty easy. It's just throwing baseballs at coconuts and knocking them off. Wow, it's almost like reflecting real life, and how boring these type of games really are. Though, the only thing unrealistic here is that you can apparently launch multiple baseballs at once. Apparently you're playing as a character with like 8 arms or something, since you can throw multiple balls in one shot. And then there's Ready Steady. It's basically one of those tracing games where you have to keep the Wiimote pointer in line. Fail to match it up properly, you get some kind of penalty. And in this case, the penalty is a delay. And the delay is so annoying it makes the game not fun to play at all. Even the inclusion of the nunchuck feels off. Half the time, it feels like the nunchuck barely adds anything to the gameplay. Well, I didn't gain enough points to progress, and I really don't feel like continuing this, so I'm just gonna stop it here. I don't want to say this is a bad game per se, it's just more of the same old stuff you'd expect from typical Wii shovelware crap like this. It has slightly better design than the Six Flags game, mainly because the characters don't look like Fanboy and Chum Chum rejects and instead just go for typical generic Wii character design. The gameplay is mediocre at best. And yeah, I know, not every minigame collection is going to be Mario Party levels, but this just seems a little dull, and that's the last thing you should feel with a game based on an amusement park. And then there's the controls. I know I've harped on it plenty of times before, but the motion controls in this are just awful, even all these years later. This game is far from the worst thing I've ever played for this show, but there are still way better Wii games out there than this. Come to think of it, I remember in that original review I theorized that this might be a tie-in for some local theme park in Texas, which may or may not be based on a certain Texas theme park of the same name. Nowadays I'm more inclined to believe that that's not true, because as it turns out that's actually called Wonderworld Adventure Park, not Wonderworld Amusement Park. But even if it was, this would not be a good tie-in for that park. You want to know what is a good tie-in for that park? It's cameo in one of the Beverly Hills Cop sequels. Now that's how you advertise a theme park. And the media is, because One Art Forum wasn't enough.
Wonderful wonder world, magic fills the air. Wonderful wonder world, it's a wonderific fair. Wild rides and water slides, roller coasters sing. Great delight means new excitements, all your cares take wing. In wonderful wonder world, happiness is